This is an advanced total body strength session that is designed for your premenstrual and menstrual phases. So this is that time in the cycle where we see hormones take a very steep decline, and with that we start to see the onset of some symptoms. Maybe your energy levels dip, or maybe you're even experiencing PMS. This is a time also where inflammation is on the rise as we gear up for our next period. So we want to tone things down. We want to kind of soothe those symptoms rather than contributing to them. With that, we are dropping the intensity or dropping the weight significantly in this phase. You want to be around 50% of what you might use in the follicular phase. This is also an advanced movement practice, and I think sometimes we mistakenly equate advanced with challenge. We think that for something to be advanced, we have to be sweating and gasping for air and hitting those high intensities. But for me, the way I like to think about advanced movement practice is more about body awareness. So many of these movement patterns aren't necessarily overly intense, but they will demand a great deal of body awareness. So don't sweat it if some of these are not in your practice just yet. Just make sure to tune into the workout preview. You'll get a breakdown of each movement pattern and some ways to modify. But the most important part is that you have the mechanics and those form blueprints in your body before we get started. There's lots of ways to kind of just slightly tweak these positions so that you don't feel any strain in the lower back, so that you can perform them safely and effectively and really kind of explore these new ranges of motion. It might mean that when you have a weight overhead, you're not coming down as deep in your squats. That's okay. I want you to explore and kind of experience a new way of firing your spine and your core in some of these exercises. Today, I would encourage you to go light with your weight, so something in the light to medium range, and we just need a single dumbbell. I'm using a 10-pound dumbbell for today, but you could really be anywhere from 5 all the way up to maybe 12 or 15 pounds. But again, I would err on the side of going lighter and focusing more on that mind-muscle connection. We have 7 different exercises. We're moving through them with 40 seconds of work, 20 seconds of rest. So the circuit portion of our workout is going to be 20 minutes long, 21 minutes long. And when you add your warm up and cool down, you've got that sweet spot right around 30 minutes of work for today. Again, the name of the game in this phase of the cycle is promoting circulation, is to soothe symptoms, and to just keep you showing up. I want your workouts to be something that you look forward to in this phase, not something that you are tempted to skip, not something that you feel guilty about, or that you're dreading, that you really aren't looking forward to. We want this to be feel-good movement all the way through your cycle. And let's get to work. Let's jump into our total body warm-up for today. We're going to start in the center of the mat. Bring your feet about shoulder or hips width apart. Give a little shimmy and a shake. Take a big breath in and a slow breath out. We're going to start with a squat to a rotate. So we squat down. It doesn't have to be a huge squat. We're just rotating the upper body as we come up, pivoting on those back toes. I want you to use your total body warm-up for today as an opportunity to get curious. So really kind of listen and look for what your body is trying to tell you. Notice any areas that feel a little bit tight, a little bit stuck, a little bit sleepy, or maybe more awake. One more rep here, and then we're just going to come into a reverse lunge with a lat pull. So we'll reach the arms overhead, step it back, pull those elbows into your side. Back together, reach up, and exhale. So again, use this opportunity to connect to your breath, to generate a little bit of heat, all in support of our strength training practice. So we're looking to kind of wake up all the major joints and get that little bit of heat going for our practice. Next time your left leg is back, let's stay there in a kneeling position and tuck your back toes. Bring your hands behind your head, and then just take your elbow to your front knee. So back elbow to front knee, opposite, crossing the body here. I want you to stabilize the legs by hugging the inner thighs to the midline. And keep that low belly drawing in. We're looking to rotate just in the upper spine. And then here we're going to take the hands down, bring your right knee to join the left. Cat and cow with a little bit of variation here as you inhale. Strengthen the spine, lift up, look up, and then as you exhale, round the spine into cat, let the knees hover off the mat. Inhale, open, stretch the spine, shine your sitting bones back. From the tailbone, round in, curl up through the spine, let your knees hover. One more like this, big inhale, and exhale. Let's step the left foot forward this time. Same thing on the other side. Bring your hands behind your head. Take your right elbow to the inner left knee and back to center. So again, looking to wrap the upper spine around its axis here. Finding that rhythm of your breath. So inhaling to expand the chest and then exhaling as you rotate. Here, we're going to take the hands down, come back into that kneeling position, tuck the toes, lift the knees, downward facing dog. Take a breath here, pedal out the feet. And then as you inhale, come forward, hover the knees in bear plank, stretch the spine in both directions, back to downward dog. Inhale, come forward, tone the low belly, keep that nice and integrated from pubic bone all the way to the navel. And then we're going to walk hands to feet, feet to hands, come into a ball pose squat here. So lift the heels up, bend your knees as deeply as feels comfortable. And then as you exhale, start to lower the heels down, fold over the legs. The legs don't need to be straight by any means at the start of your practice. Just want you to feel that little bit of opening in the hamstrings, stretching the feet, the calves here. Last one like this. And then we're slowly going to roll all the way up. Take a hand to the wall, a chair, anything for support. And we're just going to swing that right leg forward and back. I want you to, as best as you can, keep your torso and spine nice and still so that we're really waking up the hip flexor complex here. Creating a little bit of stretch and then contraction. So full range of motion here for the hips. Just a few more, and then we'll switch sides. So you can turn to the other side, swing that left leg. Again, stay fluid in your breath. Nice deep inhales and exhales. After this, we're just going to step to the long edge of the mat. Nice wide stance. A few more seconds here. And then go ahead and step the feet nice and wide. We're just alternating side lunge here, but I want you to stretch the chest open, bring your palms by your sides, elbows back, and then exhale, press it forward. So we open the chest and then squeeze the thumbs together. So we're creating, again, that stretch and contraction in the chest while kind of waking up the inner thighs and the outer glutes. We're here just a few more seconds in this last movement pattern. And come through center, step the feet together, big breath in, and a slow breath out. That is your total body warm-up, and now you are ready to get into your workout. Let's jump into this total body workout for today. I will encourage you before you get started, if you haven't already, check out that workout preview linked in the video description below. We do have some advanced movement patterns in this workout, so I want to make sure you have all the form and mechanics information that you need to get started. All you will need today is a light to medium dumbbell. So I would err on the side of going lighter so that you can explore some of these different movement patterns with that lighter load and really focus on range of motion and muscle activation. We have 7 exercises. We're doing them in 3 rounds, so this will be a 21-minute circuit. We are working 40 seconds on and 20 seconds off. Again, we're staying nice and low with that intensity, right around 50%. This is kind of equal parts strength and mobility for our practice today. So I will get our timer started. We'll have 20 seconds for setup until we get to our first exercise, which is a front squat with a press and then a thruster. So we're just going to squat down, press that weight out, come up, press it overhead. So pressing in 2 directions with that front squat. You can have your feet about shoulder width apart, toes are nice and neutral, and let's begin. We sit it back, press, come up, press. I want you to focus on the shoulder range of motion at the top. So bring those upper arm bones behind you. Keep the front ribs drawing in. So you're not overarching the lower back. You're keeping the belly integrated. As you come into the lower phase of that motion, make sure, again, that you're not sending your sitting bones too far back, that you're keeping the low spine neutral. We've got 10 more seconds here. And then we're going to come into a forward lunge with a chop and a tricep extension. So most of our movement patterns for today are going to be combination, meaning we're working upper and lower body together. Our next movement pattern, we're going to start with the weight overhead. You're going to cross the front leg to that hip. I want you to take your time with this and then come up, tricep extension. Let's begin. So front, forward lunge, cross, tricep extension. Come down, cross the body, back up, and bend the elbows. With that cross, I'm going to make sure you're keeping the hips square and even, that you're rotating the upper body and toning the obliques. So this is one where I want you to kind of slow it down so you can feel that rotation strength as you twist. Keep the arms locked out if you can. Bend at the elbows and rest. Next up, very challenging exercise is the single arm overhead squat. You're going to take that arm up, palm faces away, drop the shoulder blade down the back. You can take your feet a little bit wider for this one. You can have your opposite arm out to the side for balance, and then we're coming into a windmill. So we squat it down, come up, tone the belly, and then you're going to bend into your opposite knee, bring the elbow to the inside, keep that back leg straight, come up, back into your squat. Windmill. So it's this combination movement. You should feel this in your core. You're using the shoulder strength to stabilize that weight as you come down, and try not to lean. I want you to feel both sides of the waist lengthening as you come into that overhead squat. Windmill here and rest. We'll switch sides. We have that same movement pattern now on the second side. So again, your feet can be a little bit wider to give you a little bit more space. And this one is a core burner. So you might need to adjust the position of the feet to be able to get into that lower squat position. We squat it down, and then you come to the inside leg, so opposite the weight for your windmill. Down, come up. So you turn your legs slightly, your feet slightly to the side away from that weight. And you come to the inseam of your leg, so elbow to the inside. Make sure that you're hugging the shoulder blade onto the back to stabilize that weight. We want it to stay in the same vertical plane the whole way down and the whole way up. Last one here. And come up. Next up, we have a hip hinge with a rotation. I want you to think of this as kind of the initiating movement of swinging a golf club. So you're going to come into your hinge, feet are shoulder width apart. We've got the spine nice and straight. You're going to straighten the leg that the weight is moving toward and come to the other side. Let's begin. Come up. So you take it to the side, bend the opposite knee, and come back up. So I want you to imagine almost like you're pressing that weight rather than swinging it, pressing it with your bottom hand. And that's requiring a lot of core strength to make the rotation happen. Again, there's a reason that we went very light with the weight today. We're demanding a lot of core strength here. And back up. And that's it for that exercise. Next up, we're coming into a bear pull. Again, one of my favorites. You'll see it a lot with a tricep dip. So for this one, we're adding that tricep dip, which means you're in bear plank. You're tapping the elbows down and coming back up before your next pull. Let's get ready. Hover the knees. Make sure Your shoulders and hips stay square the entire time. We pull both directions and then we tap the elbows. Pull it under, pull it under, and then tap. Bring the elbows straight back and down. A very challenging movement pattern there with no weight. Fingers facing forward, elbows straight back. Again, make sure you're drawing the low belly in. You're not letting the hips and shoulders rotate. Doesn't look like much, that tricep dip, but you will feel it. Rest in the backs of the arms. Next up, we are creating an arc with that weight. So you're going to start at one hip, take it up, out, and around to the other side. We want minimal rotation in the upper body. We're working core here. Let's get ready. 2 and 1. So up, out, and around, and then we switch. I want you to take the arms as straight as you can, up and around and down. It's like you're making a rainbow through the sky here. So one arm will bend as you come down, but then both arms straighten at the top. This is anti-rotation, so we're trying to resist the rotation in the spine. We've got 3, 2, and 1. Just like that, round 1 is done. We have 2 more, starting with that squat to a press and then overhead. So again, here, we want our heart rate to be nice and low, around 50%. You're breathing easy. You can carry on a conversation. Nothing too strenuous, but we're really recruiting a lot of muscle activation. Here we go. Squat it down, tone the belly, reach, come up, overhead, arms behind your ears. See if you can get a little bit more space in the shoulders as you come up. And I want you to imagine drawing the shoulder blades down the back as the arms go overhead. So you've got all that clearance for the shoulders and arms to slide behind the ears. Up and overhead. Down, press it forward, and up. Last 2. And 1. We've got our forward lunge with the chop and that overhead tricep extension. So again, arms are starting overhead. We're going to step forward, cross the body, and keep those arms locked out as you come back to the starting position. Take that weight overhead, soften the shoulders away from the ears, draw the front ribs in. Here we go. Cross the body, up, tricep extension. Cross the body, up, and extend. I want you to take this one again very slowly. Often we're used to that chop movement pattern being pretty quick, but today I want you to slow it down. Really feel that rotational element in the spine. Tricep extension, you're hugging your elbows into the midline, not letting them splay out. And we'll come to our single arm overhead squat next with that windmill. So you're transitioning, alternating between these 2 movement patterns. So we've got that arm up. We're retracting the shoulder, so it's coming down the back. Nice locked out position. And let's begin. We squat it down. Keep both sides of the waist long. Turn the toes to your opposite hand. Come to the inseam and back. Squat overhead. Turn the toes. Bend that opposite knee and come into your windmill. There's a lot of shoulder stabilization happening here. So you're dropping that shoulder down. The leg that is on the same side as the weight, that one stays straight in the windmill. You come down. Lots of core activation here. So all of our movement patterns today, combination movements with some element of core integration. So we'll come to the next side. You can get your weight into position, and we'll have our windmill on side 2 with that overhead squat. The single arm variation makes this a little bit more accessible, but you have to work extra hard to stay even through the side waist. Your body's going to want to lean and tilt, but you have to stay nice, straight up and down. Remember, in that windmill, the weight is staying in the same vertical plane. So it's like drawing a straight line down and then following that line back up. Requires a great deal of control and stability in the shoulder. You got this. Turn it in and rest. Next up, we've got our hip hinge with that rotation. Again, I want you to imagine the bottom hand pushing that weight up. That's going to recruit the rotational component, so the obliques, internal and external here. Let's get ready. Hinge, fold halfway, and rotate. Come through center, tone the belly. So through that rotation, really want you to hug your belly button toward your spine to create that support for the lower back so that you don't feel this as strain in the lower back. Again, very advanced movement pattern here. Requires a great deal of body awareness. And for me, that's the difference between beginner and advanced, is just the degree of body awareness. And come up. Next up, back to that bear plank pull with the tricep dip. If you need to, for that tricep dip, you can always bring your knees down. If you want to just experiment with that position in the upper body, sometimes it can be a little tricky when you have the knees hovering. Let's get ready and come up. So we do both sides with the pull, and then we send the elbows straight back and down. Try not to arch the spine when you come down. So you're lowering together, lifting together. Keep the hug of the elbows and the arms toward the midline. So you're not letting the elbows pop out in any part of that movement. Down and up. We got this. And come down. We are in our final exercise of round 2, and then we just have one more round to go. So again, this should feel very sustainable, especially for this time in the cycle. We're coming into that rainbow arc next. You're not draining your resources, but instead just stimulating circulation, keeping everything online and awake, but in a way that is supportive for what's happening in your body. This can be a somewhat tricky time in terms of hormones. Our hormones are dropping very quickly, and it's that quick drop that signals our period, and the period is brought on by inflammation. So we're already in a pro-inflammatory state. So we don't want anything too intense. We don't want to be creating those microscopic tears in our muscle fibers like we were in the follicular phase, because rest. We don't have a lot of reserve. We're already working to resolve inflammation. We don't want to contribute more to it. So we tone it down. We enjoy these more complex movement patterns because we have lighter loads. We can experiment and play with different ranges of motion. Third round, here we go. Squat it down, press it forward, and overhead. Take it up. Down, press, and forward. So really sit back into the chair to counterbalance that long lever arm as you take the weight out away from the body. And you're keeping the arms parallel the whole time. Breathe here. Find those strong exhales with the exertion. Imagine keeping the spine nice and tall throughout, and rest. Next up, forward lunge with a chop. I want you to imagine this one again, slow motion, so you can feel that strength in the trunk around your spine, those muscles that support your posture. I want those to come online in this exercise. Let's begin. Cross, nice and slow. Back up, tricep extension. Hug those elbows in. Again, legs are staying square to the front, so we're not putting any rotational strain on the knees. We're just getting that slight turn of the shoulders to bring that weight to the back hip, or to the front hip, excuse me. Then the elbows come up. Again, make sure you're not shrugging your shoulders in that overhead position. They're nice and relaxed. And rest. We've got our single arm movements now. So coming into that single arm overhead squat to a windmill. So just remember, you're shifting the feet between each one. You're coming into the opposite leg for that windmill. Let's get ready. Draw the shoulder blade down. Support that shoulder. It's a squat. Turn the feet and come into that windmill. You can gaze up at that weight to help stabilize so that you are tracking it straight down, straight up. It's not drifting forward or back, side to side, but it's creating that nice straight line. Imagine you're almost rotating the body around the shoulder as opposed to rotating the weight to get that same range of motion. So here the body is moving, the weight is fixed, and rest. And notice how you feel from one side to the other, the difference in maybe the lower spine, the difference in the shoulder. And notice how we're creating more of that balance from side to side. Let's get ready for side 2. Draw the shoulder blade down, commit to lengthening both sides of the waist. Turn the toes, bring the elbow to the inside. So again, imagine you're rotating the body around that shoulder. So the shoulder position does change, but not because the arm is moving or the hand is moving, but because we're moving the body in this very specific way. Turn and lower down. You got this. Just a few more seconds here. And rest. Come up. We have our hinge with rotation next. So again, your bottom arm kind of pushing that weight to activate the obliques. And come into position. Feet are shoulder width apart. Let's keep the spine straight and strong. Here we go. Hinge. Rotate to one side. Come through center and back up. The weight doesn't need to travel far. It doesn't have to lift very high in that rotation to feel it working. And if you're flirting with strain here in the lower back, I want you to decrease that range of motion and focus more on toning the low belly. You should hear your breath change. I could hear it in my voice there as you come through that rotation, because there's so much happening in the low belly here. And rest. Next up, bear plank pull with our tricep dip. So find your position, shoulders over wrists, hips directly over the knees. Make sure your hips aren't coming too far forward or too far back. You want to stay in that nice sweet spot where we can engage the entire trunk. Here we go, over the knees. Pull that weight under, and then tricep dips. Those get a little more challenging with every round. Tap it back. This one, those dips require not just strength and stability, but also lots of mobility in the shoulders, the wrists, the elbows. That's a great movement pattern. If you need to, you're taking the knees down and just feeling that range of motion. Might not be as challenging, but that's okay. It can help you get the mechanics down and rest. Final exercise here, just that rainbow arc, nice and big through the sky. And we will close out this workout. So we'll move in just over 5 seconds here. You're bringing the weight to one side and Let's begin. We take it up, around, and down. So arms lengthen and lock out at the top. And then you have your outer elbow, so the same side that you're moving the weight toward, that elbow bends just slightly. And the more that you can take that weight maybe slightly out in front of you, the more of a lever arm you will get. So you'll get a little bit more tension if you take the weight just slightly out of the vertical plane. And again, you're keeping those hips nice and square, shoulders square for the most part. We're just recruiting core strength here. And rest. Excellent job. Set that weight off to the side. Go ahead and make your way up to standing. Hopefully your breath rate nice and steady, nice and even, nothing too elevated for now, but we'll take a huge breath together here. Inhale and exhale, sigh it out. That completes your workout for today, and now it's time to head into your cool down. You have just completed your total body workout, so let's stretch it out and cool it down. We're going to start at the center of your mat, hips about shoulder width, maybe a little bit wider now that we're in cool down mode. We're just coming into a squat with a side bend. So you come down and then reach up, stretch to the side, come down and reach. So we'll revisit some of the same movement patterns that we saw in the warm-up, but this time with more static stretching worked in, so that we can return those working muscles to their resting lengths and walk off the mat feeling more balanced. Part of the cool down purpose is to resolve the stress response. So we're doing that here. Let's come into our lizard stretch next. So you're going to turn over your right leg, hands to the inside, come into that deep, nice lunge. So you want to keep your knee over your ankle, maybe slightly forward. We're looking to soften the hips toward the floor without collapse. So we want to keep that buoyancy in the pelvis. We're not just kind of sagging in the joints there. We're here for just a few more seconds, and then we'll step back into a downward dog. So you can keep your hands down, step your right foot back, pedal out the feet. Just nice and easy downward dog. Soften heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. Press your finger pads down and forward. Bend your knees deeply here for a moment. Stretch the sitting bones skyward. Feel the length in the sides of the waist. So really stretch, maybe wag your tail a little bit. All the while calming that breath in and out, lengthening the exhales. This time, step your left foot forward, right knee down, coming into that lizard stretch now on the second side. So nice, deep lunge here, allowing the pelvis to soften and feel that pull toward the ground without collapse. You can even kind of sway side to side if you wish. After this, we're going to come into our tabletop for just very simple cat and cow, just to release any residual sensation in the spine. Let's take that left knee back. Inhale, stretch the spine, shine your sitting bones back, gaze up. From the tailbone, round under, coil the belly in and up, round the spine, chin to chest. Inhale, release, extend, elongate, gaze up. And exhale, round it in. Got time for one more here. Stretch the spine out nice and long. And then exhale, empty the breath completely, round, chin to chest. As you're ready, inhale, open that right arm skyward. This is a stretch, thread it under that you'll always see in my cool downs. Thread the needle. So we take that arm under. I want you to lift the hip creases up and back, keep the hips square, and then rotate the upper spine. So you're looking to twist so far that you can stack the shoulders one on top of the other. Press the back of your bottom hand down and drag it energetically back. And then come up through center, walk your hands out, bring your palms to touch, elbows wide, create a triangle, and then soften your heart and chest through the upper arms. You can rest the crown of the head on the mat or even bring your chin to the earth. Really want you to feel this stretch in the spine, broaden through the sitting bones, lengthen and telescope the rib cage, soften the shoulders away from the ears. Then we'll slowly walk the hands in, thread the needle on the other side. Inhale, open your left arm skyward, and then nice and easy, wrap it underneath. Feel that twist. Again, we're looking to stack the shoulders on top of each other while keeping the hips square to the floor. So your hip creases stretch up and back. They stabilize this rotation. And see if you can breathe and expand the lower belly. Breathe into the twist. And we'll slowly unfold. Step your feet to your hands. Bend your knees deeply. Ragdoll here. So you can take opposite elbows. Let your head hang heavy. Again, we're not looking for an excessive stretch, so you can really be generous with the bend in your knees. Keep the belly and thighs pressing toward each other. Lean into the ball mounds of your feet. Nice and easy here, just letting the spine go to gravity. And then as you're ready, roll up bone by bone. We'll reach the arms overhead. Take your hands behind your head, press your head into your hands, open your elbows. As you do this, try to lift into the upper spine. So curl the sitting bones underneath you toward your inner heels. Lift up, stretch up through the chest and heart. If you wish, you can open the arms out to a cactus shape. And then all the way out, extend those arms open, turn the thumbs back behind you, palms open, receiving the energy of your practice. And slowly release. Let's enjoy another breath together. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, let it go. That is your total body cool down for today. I want to thank you so much for showing up for this workout. And I want you to feel that sense of celebration. You are back in it. It only takes a few days of working out, of this continuous and routine practice to get back into the swing of things and start feeling your best. So celebrate yourself for coming back, for being here, and for letting your body be moved.